And today's guest on the Financial Planner Life podcast is Heather Hiley. She is from Heather Hiley Financial Planning. She is a partner practice of St James's Place. We talk about her Mike Wilson Award for giving back to St James's Place.
I love being able to go back and sort of share, and there's a few key things I know I did along my way that really made a difference. So it's great to be able to give back.
We talk about her career transition from retail, e-commerce into financial planning at the age of 45.
I think if you're in the e-commerce space particularly, it's very analytical. So you're likely to have really good analytical skills.
We talk about her business development, what she does to win clients, and how financial education in schools to youngsters, teenagers, and adults has helped her generate a ton of clients. I hope you enjoyed the episode. So Heather, thank you so much for joining me today on the Financial Planner Life podcast. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So I tell you what, great place to start, which I always do, is just tell us who you are and how you got into the financial planning profession.
Okay, so I'm Heather. I'm from Heather Hiley Financial Planning, clue in the name. I'm a partner practice with St James's Place. I am a true career changer. So I started my life as a finance management trainee in M&S a fair few years ago. And I had a passion for numbers, but quite quickly realised I actually had more of a passion for the commercial, the making the money. So moved across, had a career with M&S as a store manager, moved across to Tesco as a store manager. And then I'd always had a passion to work for myself. So I moved across and started a business with my husband, a furniture retail business. Which we had for 10 years. So I was a business owner at that point, and that was 21 years ago. So I have now pretty much worked for myself 21 years, which is doesn't come without its challenges. So we had this business. I'm sure we'll pick up later, Sam, about what happened within that business. We did exit out of that business. And then for those years thereon, I consulted and also had a couple of other businesses on the side. And it was during those years that I realised that as business owners, there's so much we have to think about with our finances. And for, total transparency, I probably had 10 years where I didn't pay into a pension, which, as I now know, was not the right thing to have done, because we had some fantastic years that could have put me in a better place than I'm in right now. So I still had this hankering for the finance world. It never went away. So even though I made that transition, it was there. Consulting, you're helping people's skills, you're helping people's businesses. So as I started to hunt for my next thing, really financial planning was the thing that started to come into my head, because it had always been there, and I got it.
Right. I'm going to stop you there because how old were you when you first, I suppose, learnt about financial planning as a career?
I suppose I started to think about it around my early 40s.
Early 40s.
Early 40s, and actually transitioned into it at 45.
At
Yeah.
45 years old. Okay. So you went
Yeah.
through the St James's Place Academy then?
I did. Yes.
Okay.
I joined the academy when I was 45. Yeah.
Brilliant. So the SJP Academy is a fantastic place for career switchers. And I've had
It
some
is.
great people come on the podcast, met some amazing people that have
Yeah.
switched from all different backgrounds, all different careers.
Yeah.
And some of the most successful, the ones that have run their own businesses before as well.
Yes.
Doesn't have to be that they've come from a finance background, but they have those transferable skills that will make you resilient um, as a financial planner, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And you definitely need resilience.
You definitely need resilience. So let's just talk a little bit about that journey then into SJP. So how did you find out about the academy and How did you get involved? What convinced you that that was the right route? Did you look elsewhere? Did you look at the open market, or did they do just a bloody good job of convincing you that that was the right path?
So I did look everywhere, but only scratching the surface everywhere, if I'm honest. Once I got more involved with SJP, for me it just felt right. And I think one thing I've always trusted throughout working for myself is my gut. So if my gut says it feels right, it's generally been right. And yeah, once I started on that journey with SJP, I actually stopped conversations with others, because I knew it felt right. It also offered the opportunity to still work for myself and change career, which wasn't necessarily the case everywhere, that I looked.
Okay.
And when you've worked for yourself for a long time, working for someone else is a big deal.
No, 100%. And that's what I suppose the SJP Academy will offer you is the ability to work for yourself. There are two routes, isn't there? There's the route in as
Yeah,
a partner, running your own partner practice. And then
yeah,
there's working underneath a partner practice as a financial planner.
yeah,
Both can
yeah.
offer self-employment, but one gives you the autonomy to run your business how you want to run it. The other is you're working under an existing partner practice. Um,
Yeah,
Both avenues allow you to generate your own clients,
yeah,
but one allows you to run your business the way you want to run it, whereas the other one you have to
hmm,
buy your clients from that business that you join
indeed.
a little bit later on down the line, but could be a useful pathway for somebody that might just not be quite confident yet in respect of running their own partner practice.
Definitely, Sam. And I think had I not had the business experience, I'd have taken that route. But having been a business owner for a long time, running a business was the bit that was easy, the bit that was comfortable. It was the financial planning, the financial services bit that I needed to really master.
Well, talk to us about that then. So the financial planning bit was the bit you needed to master. Tell us a little bit about your early days journeys and how you approached that, what the training and development was like.
Yeah, so as you said, I came all the way through academy. So obviously, take qualifications and then come into academy and learn the skill of working with clients and supporting clients and helping clients. The academy was fantastic for me. It did give me what I needed in terms of literally almost from start to finish of the process of learning turning the theory into practice, and actually coming out at the end, being able to sit with the clients and go through the process and advise. But it's a bit like it's a bit like learning to drive a car. You take your test and you get that pass, and then you actually go out and do it, and then you really learn. So I think that first period after coming out of the true academy bit, if you like, where it's sort of classroom learning type, was the biggest learning curve of this whole process, because actually once you're with a real client, it's slightly different to theory.
So those that are listening right now and just want to know how long that classroom element actually takes and what was covered within it and what you found
Yeah.
beneficial, tell us how long that took and what you learned during that period.
Yeah, so that period's just under 3 months. And that takes you from where you've got your qualification, and then literally we'll build on all of the different aspects of a client journey really. So it's very, very client focused. It's very much about learning the art and the skill of of exploring your client, of fact finding, of all of those things, and then it takes you on to actually formulating advice and so on. So it takes you through that whole process. And what's brilliant about the academy is each week you sort of build on that next step, so that by the time you get to the end of that quarter, you're actually able to bring it all together and effectively deliver it in a role play manner, to prove that you actually can go out there and do the job.
Okay,
So for
fantastic.
someone like me, who I like to know everything to be able to do something, the sort of structure and the logic of the structure really worked for me.
Okay, so you've gone through the academy, you've got your qualifications, you've learned the blueprint, how to be a financial planner, what to do, what the meetings are like, etc. So you're away, off you go, you start to run your own business. What was it like within your first year? What's the realities of running your partner practice on your own within the first year, self-employed as a financial planner?
Yeah, so the reality is it's quiet, right? It's you. If you wanted to get up on a Monday morning and just sit and look at a blank screen, you can, because that is the reality. No clients. So I started from a complete base, like many of us do. Nothing in your diary. and you create everything. And I think that's where having the business experience really helped me, because one of the things I'd always learned in my businesses is I never have an empty diary. Like, you never ever have nothing in your diary. If there's something every single day, there should be something planned in your diary. So, and the reality is, if you've got responsibilities, then you want to earn money as well. So there's this, I want to go out and do it in the right way, but I also need to earn money. And I think that's quite a hard balance for a lot of people coming in. I was, I suppose, having the business experience and built business before, I didn't have a lot of expectation of what I would earn in year one. If I'm honest, that doesn't mean I don't want to, but I didn't have a lot of expectations. So for me, it was go out and do everything to build the right reputation. Just get out there and make people realise that I'm not retail Heather anymore. I am a financial planner. I am a financial advisor, and actually, 20 odd years of being in retail, I needed to make sure the world knew that I was now doing something different. So that's how I approached it. So for me, it was network, like anywhere, everywhere, socially, business, and social media. So that was what sort of my approach.
So a bit of face to face in respect of going out when you say networking face to face, and then you
Yeah.
doubled that up with a bit of social media presence as well. Okay, so you didn't just put your hat on one thing; you mixed it up with both. And how did that work out? Where did you start to get your business from first?
Yeah, so my model, and it still is today, it hasn't changed, is that I make sure I'm visible physically. I think personally I connect with people well in person. I think that is one of my skills, is that I can talk to people and I can talk. So I don't struggle to go out and connect with people. So for me, my model is still go out and do that. And whether that is just my own social life or whether that is formal business networking, it doesn't matter. And then make sure that everybody I meet, I connect with online, predominantly through LinkedIn, but also through Instagram, which actually surprised me in terms of what that's done for me. And I'll talk about that later, maybe. But yeah, so it's, and then make sure that I then post and interact online. It's not just about posting; it's also about being social online. So it's twofold. It's meet in person and then make sure that people still know I'm there all the time, and actually add some value so that maybe it resonates with them over time.
Before you started, did you build a business plan? Did you put something together where you were going to go, right, these are the people I'm going to target. These are networking events I'm going to go to. These are people that I've
Yes.
worked with previously that I feel might want to use me and my services. Did you do that?
I did. Yeah. So part of the process with SJP is that you need a business plan. And if I'm honest, the business plan is more of a marketing plan than a business plan, truly. It is actually, how are we going to grow this business? So yeah, so I had a very clear business plan. I was told by some people in SJP that I was going to be too busy, because I was trying to hit lots of different things. However, my belief was always go out and do everything, and then learn from that, and then shape from there. And that's how I've built businesses before, is try, you start somewhere, you have a plan, but actually sometimes that plan is taken in different directions, and that's okay.
And did that happen with you then?
Did that happen with me in this business? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So there was things on my business plan that I went out and tried, and they didn't, they didn't come to fruition, and that's okay, because I just said, right, I stopped doing that, and I moved to the things that are actually, producing results, but also that I'm enjoying, because I do believe if you're enjoying something, it will produce results longer term.
And were those things that you started to enjoy and you started to produce results from? Can you share what that was? And were they part of the business plan or did they materialize through trial and error?
Yeah, so there's probably a bit of both, really. So, certain networking groups versus others. I wanted to look at the financial education world. So SJP partner with Red Start, which is the material is fantastic to go into sort of schools and education settings and deliver that education. I've always sort of supported giving back into education anyway, so that was sort of right up my street. But actually, whether it produced results, initially for me, I didn't worry about too much, but it has. So actually, to do more of that, is fills me with, what I want to achieve, which is give something back. While I'm in this space, but also does give me the visibility, and does actually lead clients to you as well.
Interesting. Let's look into that then. So, delivering financial education. Are we talking to children? Are we talking to young
Yeah.
adults? Are we talking to adults?
I've done all.
You've done it all.
Yeah, so I've done them all. Yeah, so I've done into children in primary school age, so 5 to 7 year olds, and then 10 and 11-year-olds. The 10 and 11-year-olds workshop is fantastic and really does grab them. I've done some work with 16 to 18-year-olds in colleges, and then I've done some work with adults, either in community groups or also in businesses. So I have done sort of different levels.
Okay. And then let's look at the school one, because there's a lot of people that get stuck into going in and giving back in the schools. I think giving back is a great way to build brand. I think
Yeah.
it's not intrusive. It's quite altruistic, and I think people look at it and go, "Wow, that person's actually giving up their time to deliver some educational content to our children." Teachers might
Yeah.
watch it and go, "That's really interesting." So I'm keen to
Yeah.
understand how you would turn that into a moneymaker. So if I took 365 days a year and I went out and just did financial education for free, could I make money out of it? And how have you done it in the capacity that you have? And which age group has actually led you to a client?
Okay, so I genuinely don't go in and do it to create business. Okay,
Okay, yeah,
so I
yeah, that's
and
great.
I
Yeah,
think I think I think that's why it works, because I think if you go and do something that you are truly believe in and are passionate about, then, and yes, I do then share it on my social media because it does build trust and it does give credibility. So that's how I monetize it, I suppose. I do share it. I do share to people out there that I'm doing that. But actually, I think it starts with go and do something that you're truly passionate about. Go and do something you believe in, and actually other things follow. And I think I've probably always worked my life like that. So I've always been involved in education. I've been on a governing body. I've been chair of governors. I'm now a trustee of a multi-academy trust. And I've done those things now over 15 years. So that's not something new for me. And it has allowed me to get into the financial education space and deliver these programmes. But actually, that's the person I was before.
yeah.
So for
Okay.
people seeing me doing it, it's not just for money. However, does it help? Of course it does. It absolutely does. As long as you share it, as long as people know about it.
Because didn't you win some? You won an award as well, didn't you, with St James's
I
Place,
did.
the
I
Mike
did.
Wilson Award. So just tell us a little bit about
I
that
did.
Mike Wilson Award. Does that tie into education?
Yeah, it does. Absolutely. Yeah, you're spot on. So it's so the Mike Wilson Award is for all round contribution. Academy Partner of 2024. Didn't have a clue about it. Didn't know I'd been entered for it, which is even better because when you get that call, it's just pretty amazing. And when I talked to them about why, why me, they very much talked about the fact that I embraced everything. So yes, I built a business. The business is on its way to being successful, or maybe at this stage already successful. It was also about charity work, about work in the financial education sector. It was about engaging within SJP, so making sure that I got to know people in that business and have taken help from others, but also given help back where I can, even at my fairly early stage. Yeah, so it was deemed sort of overall contribution. It's
Did
fantastic.
you? Yeah, lovely. I love it. Did you, in respect of your own partner practice at the moment, how long have you been growing that for?
So I came out of sort of True Academy February 23,
Yeah.
so just over the 2 year mark. Yeah, so feels like a lot longer.
And have you built any employees yet? Is it just yourself, or have you got employees? How do you support? How do you support the administration, power planning? And have you got aspirations to build a business bigger than
Yeah,
yourself, for example?
absolutely. Yeah, so I came into this, and I think I touched on this before. So I had a business plan, but the business plan was more around what I did, and I've employed people in my own businesses for a long, long time. So I've actually enjoyed a little bit of a period of time of not employing people, because it's just quite hassle free. However, I also miss it. So I say that light-hearted. So at the moment, I outsource. So I outsource admin and I outsource power planning. So yes, I have the support. Couldn't do what I'm doing without the support, and those people are fantastic. I will grow. I think now I'm in it. Now I'm in this space. Now I've got my confidence in this space. Yeah, I absolutely will grow. And I'm already sitting down. I've got a bit of a sort of loose business plan to bring an advisor in at some point. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. Okay. But when
Yeah.
did you start to feel like it it was starting to make sense as a financial planner that you knew that you were going to start to make money, or you were starting to make money, you started to generate clients or referrals? When did that start to happen?
Yeah, so I came out in February 23, and I remember hitting New Year's Day of, so 1st of January 2024. And have I got about those dates right? Yes, I think I have. I think, when you think, gosh, the years are going by. So I came out, and I remember New Year's Day, I started getting messages from people saying that, they were obviously hitting the new year. And literally that week, I think I got something, and I can't remember the exact number, 9 or 10 people contacted me in that first week of the new year. And I was like, okay, I've got a business now. Like, that work I put in, that networking, that sort of those social media, that getting out there, making sure people are aware of that I'm now in this space, not in retail anymore. That was the moment when literally it was okay. I'm here. Like, people now are coming to me because they're ready. So
Yeah.
yeah, and really, literally from there on, it flowed. Whereas those sort of 10 months before had been a bit stop start stop start.
So I know somebody who talk about New Year's resolutions and New Year financial resolutions. He runs a financial resolutions workshop over in between Christmas. So Christmas and New Year, he puts it in there, and then obviously puts it over in the New Year as well. Absolutely fills up online webinars with people. So if you put it
That's a
out
brilliant
there as
idea.
yeah, if you're running like like a 3-day workshop over these 5 days, I've got 100 slots available. If you want to come in and start to work out what your financial resolution should be, whether that's working how much you've got for retirement, or are your savings in the right place, and I'll
Brilliant.
build out a financial New Year's resolution plan for you. So by the end of it, you know what you've got to do. And like
Yeah,
absolutely his inbox gets filled because everyone's off work and everyone's thinking about it. And everyone's kind of comes to that end of the year thinking, "Hey, I don't know what the hell I'm doing next year. Like I promised
yeah,
myself." Well, you said it yourself, right? And you must come across people who are self-employed that don't have pensions in place, right? And you don't
absolutely.
like
All the time.
it's quite a normal thing for entrepreneurs and people who run their own businesses to not think about their pension, right? Is that a key area that you're generating business in? Are you finding those types of clients in that space?
Absolutely. And one of the things I said when I came in was I can work with self-employed and business owners because I get it. I've been there and I felt that same way, and I've not thought about those things. So it is like you say, it's normal. So yeah, I attract a lot of sort of small business owners and the self-employed for that reason. And it is an absolute pleasure to know that you're doing something that will long term really make a difference, and helps with the whole tax thing as well.
Just reflecting on your previous experience then. So you said you worked in retail. What was it you were actually doing, and how did you feel that that experience helped you transition into financial planning? If someone was sitting in retail now in the position that you were in, you did a bit of e-commerce towards the end, but you were consulting businesses as well, right? But like, how did it help you transition into financial planning? Because lots of people probably sitting in a retail capacity thinking, or e-commerce capacity thinking, do you know what? I wouldn't mind a career change.
Yeah, so I think if you're in the e-commerce space particularly, it's very analytical. So you're likely to have really, really good analytical skills. And I know we talk a lot about with our role, it's about people connection, and it absolutely is. I mean, it really, really is. But actually, having an analytical mind or a curious mind, at least around figures, I think can help. I don't think it's key. Don't think everyone needs to have it, but I do think it can really help. So I think that's something from an e-commerce side. I think it is powerful for anybody coming across. I think for me it was slightly different because my background wasn't e-commerce; it was true retail, and it was, and I think then mainly running businesses. So for me, the transition across having been a business owner means when I sit in front of a business owner, and I've got business owners now who have lost businesses, I've got business owners that are selling businesses, I've got business owners that are starting businesses, I've got business owners that are really growing businesses, and I've done all of those things. Might not be in the same industry, it might not be in the same scale, it doesn't matter. The power of being able to truly understand and talk to them about those things. And our conversations go off in all sorts of tangents because I love listening to people that are in business and what they're doing. But actually it allows me to really get in and really support them.
Interesting. So that's quite a core market for you then, dealing with business owners. That's your
Yeah,
sort of bread and butter. That's where you feel the most
it
comfortable.
is.
I'm intrigued by
Yeah,
business owners as well. Being well, yeah, I did say I was 17 years of running my own business.
yeah.
It's weird actually going from So I'm now employed on one side and then self-employed on the other. So I've got foot in both camps, which, by
Yeah.
the way, is stressful.
I bet. I think you've done well to go back to being employed. I think when you've worked for yourself for a long time, that's yeah,
It's
yeah, that's quite a different shift.
well, I'm looking at it. The way I've got to look at it in my head is, it's like I'm consulting. That's the way I look at it.
Yes.
So I got my own
Yeah.
business over here, which is my baby, and then I'm in another business, and I'm using my experience here to consult on this business here. So I
Yeah.
don't think the employee hat is a hat that I wear very well, and I suspect anybody in here will tell you that. It's
Yeah.
it's it's hard when when you've worked the way that you've wanted to work for some time.
Yeah.
Very, very difficult to adjust yourself, basically. I find it hard anyway. But I'm grateful for the experience because it's teaching me a lot by being
Yeah.
employed, especially within financial planning, which is I've never been employed within financial planning. And the reason I did it was because I wanted to gain that level of experience. Like I ran my own recruitment
Yes.
business, I got my own podcast marketing agency. I talk to financial planners day in, day out. But to be
Yeah.
in here and behind the scenes and to see how it operates and how it works is a great experience and education for me, and one that
Yeah.
I'm grateful for. Um,
Yeah.
have you gone back into St James's Place and delivered any training or development based on your personal experience?
Yeah, so I've been invited back into Academy a couple of times to go and really share how I've built a business from scratch. Because it's not easy, no one would ever say to you it's easy. However, there are people out there that want to give that a go. Um, Regardless of what their background is, as you say, it doesn't matter. So yeah, so I've been invited back in. I love doing that stuff. I love being able to go back and sort of share. And there's a few key things I know I did along my way that really, really made a difference. So it's great to be able to give back. I mean, the one thing with SJP I found coming through is that everyone is so happy to help. Other partners will step in and help you. So being able to do that for others. So as I say, I've gone back in and done some sessions within Academy, but also some of the development managers will hook certain individuals up with me, so I can just have a bit of a sort of natter to them really and share some of what I've done to help them, which I love.
Good. Giving back and helping others. And do you find do you find that early part of your career now that you're actually in that it's funny because someone might go, I haven't got enough experience to be able to train somebody but it is almost like that. The quicker that the quicker that someone can show you what year one looks like or year two, whilst they're in it, I think there's such a huge benefit. Having the person who's 10 years down the line with $500 million under management, it's aspirational, but
Yes.
you need to hear the person say, it's bloody hard. Like, it's a
Yes.
real struggle and this is how I deal with it. And it's normal to be pulling your hair out and not knowing what you're
Yeah.
doing or wondering where you're going to get business on and thinking, why have I done this? It's normal.
Yes.
And it's nice to hear those,
Yeah.
isn't it? It's nice to be able to identify with
Definitely.
someone who's going through that process a little bit earlier on and could kind of
Yeah.
reflect on what they're doing to get over those hurdles or what they've learned to get over those hurdles. I think that's the key thing. And that's what I like about SJP. A lot of giving back goes on, not just from the
It
partnership
does.
as a whole, but from individual advisors coming in, sharing stuff very, very early on, because that's the most
Yep.
impactful time to actually do that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it carries on. So, at my stage now, there's still partners that may be 2, 3, 4 years ahead of me that will come and do the same with me. And it's really powerful. I do remember the first time they asked me, I was like, what, me? Come and talk. Like, I'm only just getting going. But actually,
Yeah.
you're right. It's absolutely the time because you're still fresh in it. You're still feeling it. You can almost share the reality of it. So,
Yeah. Okay.
um, yeah.
What about the future for you? So when you got into financial planning and you sat down and you looked at the blueprint, if you like, for St James's Place, what excited you about it? Because it is an ecosystem where you can build a business and you can eventually exit, right? Tell us a little bit about the things that excited you about the blueprint or the future of being an SJP partner practice.
Yeah, so I think, as you say, there's a clear way in and there is a clear way out with SJP. And I think having had my own businesses where there was never that clear way out, it did offer a lot of security. And I think that that's something that for a lot of people coming in, I will often talk to them about what's your exit plan. And I mean, if you'd have asked me that 20 years ago when I started my first business, what's your exit plan? I'd have gone, what? Like,
Yeah.
this is it for life. Foolishly, how naive I was. But I would have said that. That's literally what I would have said. Whereas now I'm far more realistic about,
Yeah.
there's different avenues and there's different ways for me potentially to exit. Not that that's what I'm thinking about right now, but it is. You're right. The ecosystem of SJP is powerful in that it allows that. But that's really important for clients as well. So I have had clients say to me, what happens when you retire, Heather? And it's brilliant to be able to say, well, it won't just happen like that, and I'm gone, and you don't know what to do. This is how it works in SJP, and I do think a lot of clients really like that.
Love it. Do you have your eyes on buying out partner practices? Is that something that's part of your strategy as well? So as retiring IFAs exit out of SJP, are you looking at buying client books and building your business that way?
Yeah, so potentially, I think to bring in an advisor, it's something that I've got to consider. Um, but for me, it would have to be the right person and the right location, to make it work. So I'm probably quite specific about what I would buy, but that's okay. That's fine. But yeah, to grow, I think there's a reality that will probably happen. And I want to make sure that if I bring in an advisor in, there's plenty obviously there for them, to be able to work with. So it will be really important that I do that at that stage.
Yeah, I think just echoing what you said about the ecosystem that has a proven strategy to build a business and to be able to exit that business. I mean, that is really, really powerful. Being as a recruitment business owner, 90% of recruitment businesses, they never sell. I was lucky that I managed to sell mine. It wasn't for a lot. But I tell you what, in those years that I was thinking I was going to build it and sell it, I thought I was going to walk away with a hell of a lot more money than I actually did. And
Mm,
when I do talk to SJP, when I do talk to those ecosystems that allow advisors from day one to say, look, this is the goal, right? You're going to get here in 10 years. If you have this level of AUM, this many clients, this much income, this is the value of your business. And we can
yeah,
value it based on the fact that you're in our ecosystem. It's not like going to the open market where everyone's bidding for it and it's different.
yeah,
They can genuinely look at your business from start to finish and give you a clear indication of the worth of it and give you somebody to actually transition that business to. So as you rightfully
yeah,
pointed out, you're not just exiting and leaving your clients in the lurch. You are gently transitioning out of the profession. In fact, you can even like break apart your business in SJP and sell it to other people
yes,
if you wanted to actually
you
do
can.
that. To either raise some
Yes,
capital over a period of time when you need it, or
yeah,
just to gently kind of edge out. And I think that's a really beautiful thing. And being a business owner, that never really thought outside of the fantasy of selling a business of what I think might happen because we're so caught up in the moment. There is a kind of reassurance that I get. And I've spoken to so many people at St James's Place, and it's interesting because I genuinely like if I was considering building a financial advice business, I think SJP is a hell of an ecosystem to do it in. It creates that kind of support network, but allows me to be an intrapreneur within it, and that's what I like. And where I'm seeing people go in, but not everyone's a success. Not everyone goes in as a success. But if you've got that business building mindset, I think having the ability to know what your exit could look like from day dot is powerful. And I think for me, I would consider that over a
yeah,
time period, because I could go, right, at 50, I'm
yes,
43 years old. I've always considered like at 50, I might actually become a financial planner. I'm
yeah,
kind of quite up for that. I think it's a good
yeah.
age,
Do
right?
it.
Yeah, I think it's a good age. I can get out there. I can do it. I've got loads of experience and I'm building upon all my experience now, all the marketing and all of
Yeah,
that kind of stuff. I thought I could go in and do that at 50 years old. If I could do that for 10 years until 60, what could I
yeah,
build in 10 years? And
a
going in and
lot.
having a blueprint where someone can actually show me it, it's like,
Yeah.
well, that sounds really, really attractive to me.
It is, and when we talked before, Sam, you're aware that I've exited out of businesses in different ways so far. So I have obviously exited out of one business where we liquidated. I've exited out of one business where we sold, and I've closed another one down. So coming in with this, where there is this opportunity to make sure that you understand, and like you say, I think they're doing it gradually over time and raising capital gently over the time is probably more realistic, and is probably what I would think will happen with my business. But actually, it's so powerful because you don't have a clue what will happen with your business when you decide that you've had enough. And I've got clients now trying to sell their businesses, and they've got tremendous figures in their head of what they believe their business is worth. But actually, finding a buyer is a really, really hard thing to do. Um,
We never know what might happen in business. You never know what might happen in life.
No,
And people go through ups and downs in life as well, and it hasn't always been roses for you, right? And I know that
no,
you have the Alice Hiley Memorial Trust, which sounds
I
like
do.
an amazing charity and trust to be a part of. But what is the story behind that?
Yeah, so as you say, I've definitely been through some tough times, as many of us have. My second daughter was diagnosed with a congenital diaphragmatic hernia at CDH. It's a bit easier to say. At 20-week scan, and was expected to be born and be operated on within a couple of days, and then probably live quite a relatively normal life, with maybe a bit of asthma, a few problems maybe potentially with the lungs. That was sort of what we were told, what we were expecting. Unfortunately, when she was born, she only lived for 7 hours because her heart gave up. Which I have to tell you was probably the hardest thing I'll ever experience in my life, and I think it's made me who I am. I'm not saying I wasn't a good person before, but it's definitely made me a better person. Because when you deal with something so, well, it's just wrong, isn't it? You don't expect to lose your children. Yeah, it has made me resilient for sure. But also it's made me. I've always tried to help others. I can't say I wasn't like that person before, but it's made me like have this true like purpose. I use that word, it can be used too easily actually, but it has meant I've always had this inner feeling that my life needs to have purpose, and because she couldn't live, like I always feel like I live for her as well. So yeah, and look, from there we had to organise a funeral, which is probably one of the most horrendous things you ever have to organise in your life for your own child. And a lot of people wanted to come. We had this massive outpouring of support, which was amazing, but I couldn't cope with it. So instead we organised a private funeral, and then we organised a fundraising evening. So we said, let's give back to the hospitals that were amazing. Absolute shout out for all the hospitals in the area that looked after myself and Alice. So we had this evening, and bear in mind this is nearly 15 years ago. We had this evening, we raised £5,000 in one evening, which was a lot of money in an evening. That we were. So we went home that night, quite overwhelmed really, and sat up all night saying we're quite private people, but actually we have the power to do something. Like out of something really horrendous could come some good. And that night the charity was born, because we realised that we actually could do some good. So we have had the charity for 15 years. We raise money to support the outcomes of neonatal babies, predominantly in the northwest of England. So what we wanted to do was that people got involved, but actually, it led to equipment or staff training in the areas where their children, their nieces, their nephews, their friends' children were going to be born and potentially would be looked after. And we also raised the awareness for congenital diaphragmatic hernia as well, which is fairly rare, but not as rare as you think.
Not as rare as you think, is it? Is it something that comes up
No,
quite?
so one in 5,000 babies die of CDH, which sounds not a lot, but when you actually look at some of the stats of some of the other things that you hear of children born with cystic fibrosis or those things, it's actually more common. So, yeah, not as
Yeah.
uncommon as you think. But they still don't have a cure. They still don't know why it happens. So, we try to support in that way as well.
Well, if you can send me that link to where our listeners can make donations, and I definitely want to make a donation to that, Heather. So if you can send
Thank
that
you, Sam.
across to me, I will make a
Of course.
donation, and
Thank you.
we'll make sure that that gets shared on the description and the article that we put out as well. Because
Thank you very
amazing
much.
work and something quite traumatic to go through. I couldn't imagine it being a father of a daughter myself. So when you told me that, I was
Yeah.
wells you up, because it must be absolutely heartbreaking to go through that. But turning that tragedy into supporting others, I think, is a noble thing to do. And I said, as you said, giving up your time to deliver that higher level of purpose to support others who are going through potentially the same stress and anguish and heartbreak and trauma that you've gone through is admirable. So keep up that amazing work. And obviously she lives
Thanks.
on, Alice, in your heart and in your purpose, right? And that's the most
She
beautiful thing.
does. Yeah, and look, because of the charity, people know her name, and that's another amazing thing that came from the charity. It wasn't intentional, but yeah, it absolutely is. But yeah, I think it's I've met people through the financial planning, so clients through the financial planning that have gone through similar situations, not necessarily the same, similar situations, or similarly heartbreaking situations. And so often I end up sharing it, which I never thought I would. It's not like the first thing I tend to tell people. People that have known me for a while sometimes don't know, because it's not Heather and this is what happened to me. It is a part of me, but it does allow for people to talk quite openly about some of the tough stuff they've been through, because I don't shy away from talking about things.
No, exactly. It allows people to, yeah, your personal experience of that allows people to get vulnerable with you as well. And it can often put things into perspective sometimes when we sit there and we think we're having a really hard time. And then someone opens up and tells a story like that. It makes you realize, okay, right, maybe my problems right this second can be solved. Something like that is something which is painful for a long, long time. I've spoken to quite a few financial planners that help families with clinical negligence and PI. Personal injury, and families that are living with children that have got, long-term illnesses,
Yeah,
disabilities, where, in the long term, a financial plan needs to be built out, and more often than not,
it does.
sometimes has to go through the courts to be able to justify it. And I always found that a really fascinating and interesting area of financial planning. Having being able to support a family through the courts, to be able to make a claim, to be able to provide long-term care, not just for the child or the person that's been injured, for example, but also for the family that has to be there to support, because there's a huge amount of support
Yeah,
that goes on with that. And
yeah,
that's another kind of whole area of financial planning that you can open yourself up to, which is
yeah.
truly quite aspiring and interesting. Um, Heather, what does the next couple of months look like for you? I always say, like, the next year, but I'm intrigued into what's happening in the next couple of months. What's your plans? What's your big tick list? What are the top three things on your tick list to do in the next couple of months, do you think?
A holiday.
Okay, right, yeah, nice. And me, yeah, and
So
me.
I think when you go into this, building your own business, and it doesn't matter what business it is, does it? And you've built businesses as well. You've got to give it everything. And I hear people that say, well, I work for myself because I want the flexibility to do this and that and the other. And don't get me wrong, I have that flexibility. If I want to go at 3 o'clock and pick up my child from school, which, I mean, she's a bit older than that now, but when she did, I did. But that doesn't mean I then didn't work till 9, 10 o'clock at night to make up for the fact that I had that flexibility. So starting this business, the last 2 years, I have worked every hour I think is possible between Monday to Friday. I'm quite strict with my weekends. It doesn't mean I don't sometimes work, but I never see clients at weekend. I need to give my family some of me. Yeah. So this year I have, yeah, I literally hit the new year and haven't stopped. So I'm truly ready for a break. So that's number one.
Right.
Yeah, on there. Number two, I think, will always be to make sure that I'm doing everything that's right for my clients. And that goes the next 2 months. That goes forever. I do. I think being in retail, I didn't have the impact on people that I have today. So, when I sit down with someone and create a plan and say yes or no, you can retire, or yes or no, you can do whatever, I feel the weight of that. I really do. I feel that on me, and I want to feel that. I think we all should feel that, actually, because it's, we can't mess with people's lives, can we? And in retail, I didn't have that, so I definitely think that's something that, yeah, will always be my focus, and is probably my focus for the next period. And the third one, I'm going to bring it back to the charity, actually. So we had a bit of hiatus in the last few years. We've relaunched this year, and we've got our first event a week today, which it's just a bit of a social, in our local area. But actually, I need to give that what it deserves, because when I am so busy with the business, it can sometimes get a bit of a backseat. So yeah, making sure that charity gets back to where it was in terms of visibility is really important as well.
So what I took from that, your top three things is, and I love the fact that you put yourself first, actually. I love the fact that you put yourself first, 'cause I think running a business, often we
Probably
don't put
don't.
ourselves. Yeah, and I'm guilty. I'm very, very guilty of that. Very
Mm.
guilty of that. So I'm with you, and I find it really hard to put myself first. And then obviously you've got the clients that you're looking after. You're putting them in that list as well, and you're putting your charity in that. So what it sounds like to me is you're somebody who likes to give back to others, but you're starting to recognize that giving back to yourself, um, is really, really important. And you're probably feeling that burn running your own
Yeah,
business, and to give yourself that space, give yourself that That's fill your chalice up before you can start giving it to somebody else, because you can give from an empty chalice anyway.
Absolutely, yeah. And look, I don't pretend that I don't work stupidly hard, and I don't pretend to other people that if you're going to grow a business, you've got to sacrifice something. Like
Yep,
you do. But I also know when I'm ready for the break. Yeah,
love it.
so they're
Well,
important.
Heather, it's been an absolute pleasure hearing about your journey there at St James's Place, your transition from retail into financial planning and all the good things that you're doing. It certainly sounds to me that you are a financial planner with a higher purpose. You enjoy what it is you do, and the big part of that is helping others. So love it. So thank you so much for joining. And if anyone wants to reach out to you to find out more about your journey, potentially maybe working with you at some point in the future, they can do so via the comment section, because we're going to put your contact details in there. Okay.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for having me, Sam. It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome. Thanks, Heather.
Thank you.